Hello, my little tins of boiled spam. Welcome to the Lower Porch Broadcasting Corporation. I'm in here because, as you can see, it's absolutely chucking it down. And in response to the myriad messages about is it still on tomorrow? Oh yes, it's still on. The weather's not as bad tomorrow, light rain and a bit of sun. Also it's on a 3G pitch, and generally, unless the rain is horrendous, we wouldn't postpone. It's only if it's dangerous or it makes a farce of playing football. So yes, they're very much on. So I look forward to seeing those of you that are there tomorrow. We are down to the bare bones, as I mentioned, with the Angels and the Bobcat. Not the Bobcats. Bobcats fine. The Angels and the Panthers. I am taking steps to hopefully resolve that this season. As mentioned yesterday, I'm going to be recruiting to ensure that we've got enough players for every round of fixtures, and putting in some advanced notice for me of when players are going to be available and not available, and just to ensure that players don't pick and choose when they play. I know for most of you that aren't available tomorrow, I know exactly why that is. People are working, people are unable to get this because their parents or guardians are doing stuff. So it's not a particularly a dig at anybody. It's just me mentioning that for the fairness of the rest of the team, we need to ensure that we turn up with a full ship of players, or as many as. As you can see, I am still in my coaching kit from Conflict Juniors this morning. It is 5 o'clock. I had the juniors this morning. They were lush as always. It was a very fun session, and the under fives that we Murray himself to came back a couple of weeks ago, and it really is such fun doing them. So apart from you guys, it's probably my favourite football. Gosh, I can hear that rain coming back. It's absolutely lashing down. Oh, to be on a ship on the seas right now, perhaps going across the Irish Sea in a rowboat. You may not be able to hear me in a bit. So yes. And this afternoon I've been dealing with the managers for tomorrow and getting emails off about tomorrow's fixtures and risk assessments and so on and so forth, because Gemma from Dorset FA, who's the new secretary of the league, is off this week. And I've also been dealing with some safeguarding issues. So as you can see, I haven't got out of my kit yet, although I will admit to having a sneaky 40 weeks earlier, because after the most horrendous week I needed 40 weeks. So that's that. As mentioned last night, Martin Dighton was at the session for my assessment. Martin was really impressed by our setup, particularly our COVID setup. Bearing in mind, Martin goes to dozens, if not hundreds, of clubs in his job as coach development officer, and he now has the whole of the southwest region, so he goes to a lot of clubs, and he said that ours was one of the best he's been to. So thank you to Josh and Julia for helping out on that to make sure that our sessions are incredibly safe. What else? I think that's probably about it from me. Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. I might wear a wetsuit. Not really. I say the weather's good for tomorrow, or certainly better, maybe a bit rainy. Tomorrow, the protocols are the same as for training. So, apart from when you're playing in matches and socially distanced, we follow all the usual COVID procedures. We will have a register for track and trace. You use the hand sanitizer, which we will provide, and just generally keep yourself pretty safe. I don't care if other teams are not doing it, we are. So there we go. And talking of which, as I mentioned about Longfleet, do you know what? I'm going to have to go indoors. You're not going to be able to hear me. Oh, my life. Hang on, let me turn the radio off. Yeah, talking of which, so I mentioned this morning that I know I'm waffling, but I haven't spoken to anybody for a couple of hours, so I just needed to chat to you guys. So this morning we had the juniors, and then up on the higher field where we train, our new under-17s team played their first match today, ironically against Lilliput, which of course is local to me. And it's great to see players that you were involved with at under 5 level now going into their first matches. And interestingly, it's always an education as well for both the coaches and the parents, because for a lot of the coaches, they won't have played matches before. They maybe took on the under 7s. It's normally one of the parents, it's a parent helper who then becomes a coach. And for the parents, match day protocols as well. You know, the fact we've got respect lines and parents stand on one side, and you know, we always encourage encouragement and not criticism of players from either team, which actually generally at under 7 the parents are fabulous anyway, but and we also encourage them not to coach from the sidelines, just to let the coaches do that, because it can confuse players, particularly of that age. So yeah, it's always good to see teams go out for their first match, and now, you know, now the coaches know what the routine is and the parents know what the routine is. For this season it has changed slightly, because in previous seasons you'd have one respect line and all parents would stand behind it from both teams down one side of the pitch. But for this season they're suggesting that parents from one side stand on one side and parents and coaches from the other team stand on the other side, which of course we do. But so if you're playing football, for teams that aren't doing that, they aren't following the guidelines. You have to have a track and trace register for matches. That is mandatory. And of course you have to have hand sanitizer. And apart from that, it's business as usual. But make sure if you're playing football that your teams are adhering to those regulations. That's it. I've waffled. I know, it's been all football, hasn't it? So I'll try and tell you a couple of jokes. Okay, so I'm really good at guessing what is inside of wrapping paper. I've got sixth sense. I know what's inside wrapping paper. Frankly, it's a gift. It's a gift. What else? Sad news, actually. I lost one of my friends yesterday. He was killed by a bowl of muesli. Yeah, he was dragged in by a really strong current. A really strong current. Oh, see you all tomorrow. Be safe. I decided I hadn't chatted enough and whittled on, so I forgot to remind you, tomorrow it's at a leisure centre. It's on a 3G pitch, which means AstroTurf trainers or moulded studs. As it's going to be a little bit wet and slippery, I would suggest the moulded studs, but AstroTurfs will suffice if not. But you know, as always on 3G, no sort of soft trainers or anything else of that ilk. And the other thing I forgot to remind you, don't forget, clocks go back tonight, so you get an extra hour in bed.